What We Never Meant Part 1, Cracks in the Glass. The house smelled like lavender and silence. Ethan had been sitting on the couch for nearly an hour, pretending to scroll through his phone. The living room lamp cast a soft yellow light that didn't reach the corners. Claire was upstairs. He could hear the water running, her nightly routine, unchanged, untouched by time. Unchanged, unlike him. He shifted, thumb trembling against the screen. His mind wasn't here. Not really. It was back 2 days ago, in the kitchen, with her. Her perfume still lingered in the corners of his memory, not lavender, something older, deeper. Like rain-soaked jasmine and guilt. Vivian. He hated the way his chest clenched when he thought of her. Hated the way his body remembered more than it should. The water stopped. Claire would be coming down soon. Or maybe not. Lately, they'd become polite strangers, sharing space but not presence. Words, but not warmth. They touched like people in a crowded elevator, quickly, then apart. He closed his eyes. The knock on the door startled him. Not the front door. The back. He froze. It was past 10. No one used the back door, no one but her. He stood, hesitated, and walked slowly through the kitchen, every step soaked in dread. He opened the door. She stood there in a long coat, collar turned up, her eyes hidden beneath the hood. Vivian, he whispered, the name falling from his lips like a confession. She stepped inside before he could stop her. We need to talk. Now? She glanced toward the ceiling. Claire asleep? Upstairs. Getting ready for bed. Vivian stepped closer. The space between them thinned until the tension was thicker than air. You can't keep coming here like this, he said, voice strained. I wasn't planning to. I just. Her breath shook. I need to know what this was. Ethan closed the door behind her. Locked it. You know what it was, he said. A mistake. Vivian flinched, like the word stung. Then why haven't you told her? His silence was an answer. You look at me like you hate me, she said, eyes glassy. But you kissed me first. He rubbed his temples. That night. Claire was gone. We were drunk. I don't know what I was thinking. You were thinking about me. About being seen, heard, touched. Her voice lowered. I know, because I was thinking it too. A floorboard creaked above them. They both looked up. Vivian stepped back. I should go. Ethan nodded, but made no move to open the door. She brushed past him, their arms touching for a second too long. When the door closed behind her, he stood there, forehead against the wood, breathing like a man drowning. Part 2, Traces of her. The morning after Vivian came to the house, Ethan stood at the kitchen sink, staring at the empty coffee pot. Claire was behind him, dressed for work, her hair up in a loose bun, face free of makeup. There had been a time he thought she was most beautiful like this, raw, real, present. Now, all he could feel was distance. You were up late, she said, sipping from her cup. I couldn't sleep. She nodded. You haven't been sleeping much lately. He didn't answer. Claire set the cup down harder than necessary. Is there something we need to talk about? His chest tightened. He turned around slowly, resting his hands on the edge of the counter. No, she studied him. You've been off, Ethan. 4 weeks. We're just in a rough patch, he said. Claire laughed, but it wasn't humor, it was disbelief. A rough patch is when you argue more. When you're tired. This feels like you're not even here. He didn't answer because she was right. She walked past him, grabbing her keys. I'm not asking for much, Ethan. Just for you to meet me halfway. She paused at the door, voice low. Or tell me if you've already left. Then she was gone. He spent the afternoon wandering through the house like a stranger. Every room was filled with echoes, laughter, footsteps, whispered apologies that meant nothing now. At 5, the doorbell rang. He knew it was her before he opened it. Vivian stood there, hair in waves, eyes shadowed with something unreadable. "I shouldn't have come last night," she said. "No," he replied. "You shouldn't have." She stepped inside again anyway. "I can't stop thinking about you," she said. "Stop." "I'm not saying it to complicate things. I'm saying it because it's eating me alive." He turned to her. "Do you think I don't feel that too?" She stepped closer. "Then why do we keep pretending it never happened?" "Because it shouldn't have." Vivian's voice broke. "I know." They stood in silence. Outside, birds called to each other like nothing was wrong. Vivian moved forward, a single step, then stopped. Her voice dropped. "I never wanted to want you. I fought it. God, I tried." "So did I," Ethan whispered. Their faces were close now. His breath trembled as he exhaled. She reached out, not to pull him in, but just to rest her fingers against his chest. And it was too much. He turned away suddenly. "Go home, Vivian." When he looked back, her eyes were wet. But she nodded. This time, he didn't follow her to the door. Part 3, History Between Us. Vivian sat in her car for almost an hour after she left Ethan's house. The engine was off. Her hands gripped the steering wheel like it might ground her. The cold leather bit into her palms. She hadn't meant to come back the second time. But every time she closed her eyes, she saw him, Ethan, sitting alone in that house, collapsing slowly beneath the weight of silence and unmet longing. And what scared her more than anything was that she didn't just see him. She felt him. In her chest. In her fingertips. She'd raised Claire to be strong. To recognize warning signs. But never taught her what to do when the danger was inside the walls. When betrayal wore the face of someone she loved. Vivian stared at her reflection in the rearview mirror. She looked tired. Not just from age, from guilt. From craving something she should never have touched. She'd crossed lines before in her life. But this would ruin everything. Part 4, The Past Isn't Gone. Claire sat on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, staring at a photo from 2 years ago. The three of them smiling in the backyard. Her, Ethan, and her mother. Ethan's arm had been around her waist. Vivian's hand had rested lightly on Ethan's shoulder. Back then, it had felt normal. Now, she couldn't unsee it. The quiet energy. The sideways glances. The hidden familiarity. She hated herself for even thinking it. But things had changed so fast. Ethan was different. Cold. Distracted. And her mother. There was something distant in Vivian lately too, like she was always choosing her words carefully. Like every silence was calculated. Claire opened her message app. "Me, is everything okay between you and Ethan? You've both been weird lately." She stared at it. Then deleted it. Part 5, Crossing Lines. Ethan waited until Claire was asleep to call her. He paced the backyard in the dark, phone pressed to his ear, whispering. "Vivian. I can't breathe." She answered after the second ring. Her voice was quiet. "I know. I feel like I'm splitting open from the inside," he said. "Like everything I built is cracking." Vivian was silent for a long time. "Come here," she finally said. "Tonight." Ethan didn't move. "If I do, we can't pretend anymore." "I'm done pretending." So was she. He drove there just past midnight. The street was dark. Her porch light was off, but the door opened before he could knock. Vivian stood there in a robe, her face bare, her eyes soft and full of fear. They didn't speak as he walked inside. He took off his shoes like he'd done 100 times before, back when he was just the son-in-law. Now everything was different. She led him to the kitchen, but neither of them sat. "You don't have to stay," she whispered. "I do." He moved toward her slowly, like he was stepping off a cliff. And when they touched, forehead to forehead, breath to breath, it was quiet. No kiss. No words. Just an earthquake inside their chests. He wrapped his arms around her and felt her exhale, like she'd been holding her breath since the beginning of time. They stood like that for what felt like hours. And when he left just before dawn, neither of them said goodbye. Part 6, Discovery. Claire didn't sleep. She heard the creak of the floorboards at 4:07 a.m. She waited. When Ethan finally slipped into bed, she didn't move. But her eyes were open in the dark. And for the first time, she felt cold beside him, not just alone, but replaced. Part 7, The confrontation. Within, Ethan stared at himself in the bathroom mirror. His shirt clung to his back with sweat. The house was quiet, but inside his head was a storm. He splashed cold water on his face. It did nothing. He could still feel Vivian's hands. Her breath on his skin. The quiet way she'd touched his face, like memorizing something she already knew she couldn't keep. He looked into his own eyes and hated the man he saw. Coward. Liar. Thief. He had stolen something that could never be returned. When he stepped out of the bathroom, Claire was standing in the hallway. Her arms were crossed. Her eyes were bloodshot. "Where were you?" His heart stopped. "I couldn't sleep," he said quickly. "Went for a drive." "At 4 in the morning?" He opened his mouth, but no words came. Claire didn't shout. She didn't cry. She just whispered, "Was it her?" Ethan felt the blood drain from his face. Claire shook her head, eyes widening in horror. "Oh my God. It was her." Part 8, The unraveling. Vivian knew. She felt the change before her phone even rang. She'd been standing at the sink, washing a single coffee cup. A quiet, normal moment, but her hands were shaking. Her phone buzzed. "Claire, I'm coming over." No explanation. Just a sentence that made the floor feel unsteady. Vivian sat in the living room, waiting. She heard Claire's car door slam. When the knock came, she opened the door slowly. Claire's face was unreadable. Pale. Still. "I know," she said. Vivian didn't respond. Claire walked inside without being asked. She turned, facing her mother like she'd never seen her before. "How long?" Vivian's voice cracked. "It wasn't supposed to happen." Claire laughed, bitter and sharp. "That's not an answer." Vivian looked down. "The night you went to that conference. We were drinking. We talked. It started then." Claire stepped back like she'd been slapped. "You started an affair with my husband when I was gone for one night?" "It wasn't planned." "Oh, that makes it better." Claire's voice trembled. "You're my mother. And you slept with my husband. Do you understand what you've done?" "I loved him," Vivian whispered. "Not like I meant to. Not like that. But it happened." Claire stared at her, then sat down slowly, as if her knees gave out. "This is sick," she said. "You've ruined everything." Vivian knelt in front of her. "I know." Claire pulled back. "Don't touch me." Part 9, All the things we never said. That night, Ethan didn't go home. He sat in his car in a motel parking lot, hands on the wheel, headlights off. The guilt gnawed at his ribs like a wild dog. He had thought about leaving Claire before, quietly, gently, without drama. But he had never imagined this. He had never imagined being the villain. His phone buzzed. "Claire. Don't come home tonight." He stared at it, then put the phone face down. Vivian sat alone in her dark living room. She hadn't cried. She didn't have the right. She had spent her whole life protecting her daughter, and now, she had become the weapon that broke her. She didn't sleep that night. She sat on the floor, knees pulled to her chest, surrounded by silence and shame. Part 10, Final Choices. 3 days passed. None of them spoke. Then Claire called. "Meet me," she told Ethan. "At the lake. Tomorrow. Noon." She called Vivian too. "You need to come," she said. "All of us. One place. No more hiding." The lake was still and gray. Ethan arrived first. Vivian came minutes later. Neither of them spoke. Then Claire walked down the path, slow and steady, as if she were walking into a courtroom. She stood in front of them, arms folded. "I'm not here to forgive you," she said. "Not yet. Maybe not ever." They nodded. "But we can't stay in this limbo. We can't keep circling pain." Vivian stepped forward. "Tell us what to do." Claire looked at them both. "You tell me. What are you choosing?" Ethan stepped back. "I love you, Claire. But I don't know if I deserve you." Claire turned to her mother. Vivian was crying now. "I would give anything to undo this," she whispered. "But I can't." Silence. Then Claire nodded. "I'm going away for a while. I need space." "To where?" Ethan asked. "Does it matter?" She started walking. Then paused. "Maybe we'll talk again. Or maybe this is the last time." She looked over her shoulder. "All I know is this: love without loyalty is just selfishness dressed up as passion." Then she was gone. The end.